RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Dearest beloved divine friends and families, your brother, me, Haji, Dr. Roshan Khan, presenting RK's Guyana Free Media, episode 76. Elections 2020, Guyana, the absurdity, the stupidity, the madness, and attempts to steal a nation by a group who wants all our wealth, all our power, and to make some of us into semi-slaves, destroy our lives, our businesses, and directly target us to wipe us out so that we may migrate out of the country Guyana as they import more and more people into the country from Haiti and try to eliminate us, which is, to my opinion, a kind of a ethnic cleansing in the process here in Guyana, divine brothers, friends and families around the world. This reading is taken from Kaicho News, Wednesday, July 8, 2020. Today's decision is not about who wins the elections. I repeat, today's decision is not about who wins the elections by Peeping Tom. And this is being done just now, about 40 minutes before the court convenes in Trinidad to give us the edict of their decision and the reality of the case before them. The outcome of the elections of 2nd of March 2020 will not be decided today by the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ. This is printed today, July 8, 2020. It will be decided later this week by the Guyana Elections Commission. The court can decide it. Only the Guyana Elections Commission can, but they can give some guidelines and some reality and some explanation. It is unfortunate that expectations are being engineered on both sides of the political divide, that today's verdict by the CCJ is decisive to the outcome of the elections. This is far from the truth. And it is regrettable that so many persons are misinformed as to what is taking place at the CCJ today. This man is speaking very wise. This result that will be coming out will not decide who will form the next government. It is just giving a guide as to what can transpire. Let us remember, the case that was brought before the appeal court in Guyana, which should have gone to the full court instead, ladies and gentlemen, that case had no right to have been there. And the judges should not have listened to it. And the judges did nothing to those who took the matter to court using a party hack to represent them and to use her name. The judges should not have allowed it. And they gave nothing. There was no injunction, there was nothing. All they said is more valid votes. So more valid votes were cast. So what is the problem? They didn't say the votes were not valid. They said more valid votes. And the documents of the recounter, I was an observer, it says valid votes counted. And non-valid votes were discarded. Those that were damaged, people voted for more than one parties, people damaged or scratched it, people didn't vote at all, or missing the stamp, the 6-digit number at the back, those were not valid votes. So where these stupidities of certain people who are playing with the emotionality of Guyanese around Guyana. And now back to the article. Excuse me. It is unfortunate that expectations are being engineered on both sides of the political divide, that today's verdict by the CCJ is decisive to the outcome of the elections. This is far from the truth. And it is regrettable that so many persons are misinformed as to what is taking place in the CCJ today. So he's blaming both the acting caretaker government and also those who have technically won the election, according to my opinion. The ruling today has nothing to do with who has won the elections. There is only one winner today, and that is the constitutional certainty. The case before the CCJ is about the interpretation of Guyana's constitution. It will not decide who will govern Guyana for the next 5 years. It does not matter how the CCJ rules today. The chairperson of GCOM has to declare the results and announce the winner. In so doing, she is not bound by any nefarious report of the chief elections officer. So he's saying the nefarious report of the chief elections officer does not have to be used. There's just a protocol, a procedure, and he's betrayed the protocols. And as people saying they are watching his back, ladies and gentlemen. And he's referring to the report as nefarious, dishonest, wicked, deceitful report. Back to the article. But by Peeping Tom, in making a declaration, she is required to only be advised by the chief elections officer. In making a declaration, she is required to only be advised by the chief elections officer. Not only be advised by him alone, but all he has to do is just advise. Back to the article. Advice does not imply acceptance. Precisely the point I'm trying to make. He's giving advice, she doesn't have to accept. As was the case in the past, where there was an erroneous calculation of the results of the 2011 elections. GCOM can refuse to accept an erroneous report and send it back for amendment. There is a history to this issue about the GCOM chairman being advised by the chief elections officer. In the 1997 elections, former chairman of the commission, Doug Singh, made a declaration without even informing the full commission. This was because he was prescient enough to foresee the plot which was being hatched by the PNC to force an annulment of the declaration of the president. Now he's given an idea why Doug Singh did that. Because there was a plot to annul it and to overcome it and overthrow it. And that is why he did a secret declaration. He therefore swore in Janet Jagan as president in order to avoid a greater crisis. One commissioner was so aggrieved that she broke down into tears upon learning of the decision. Don't ask me why, Peeping Tom says. During the constitutional reform process which followed these elections, certain changes were made to the constitution to avoid a declaration being made before a full meeting of the commission was summoned. Among the amendments made before was that the chairman should first be advised by the chief elections officer, and that there has to be a meeting of the commission. The intent clearly was to prevent a declaration being made behind the back of the commission, but the constitutional changes were never intended to bind the chairperson or the commission to whatever report was submitted by the chief elections officer. Nothing binds her. She doesn't have to. Were this so, back to the article, it would have invert Article 161 of the Constitution which gives the Commission overriding powers over the electoral process. He's going now to an old writer. Charles Dickens was wrong. The law is not an arse. The law will not condone an entire election being decided on the basis of the dishonest declaration by two men. The law did not countenance the bingo numbers, and it will not subscribe to any similar electoral perversion. So he's talking about bingo and his bingo numbers. That the law will not allow it. Excellently written. Beautifully put by Peeping Tom. If the law ever reaches that stage, back to the article, then the law can no longer protect the people and the rule of law can be said to have been extinguished. And then we have anarchy. If ever the law reaches a stage like that, then we can have electoral perversion, then he's saying the law is useless, it becomes nothing. It's like a no man's land. It's where the Wild West. You take what you want, kill what you want, overrun what you want. And the decent becomes, and the good and the kind and the holy becomes fodder or meat for the criminals, friends and family. If the Constitution becomes worthless then tyranny reigns supreme. I repeat that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully. This is very powerful, very powerfully worded. If the Constitution becomes worthless, then tyranny reigns supreme. The Constitution protects your right to free speech. Without the protection of the Constitution, you can be silenced. The Constitution protects your freedom of movement. Without this protection, your freedom to move can be restrained. These are powers of the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. The Constitution prevents you from being arbitrarily arrested or imprisoned. Without the protection of the Constitution, the government will be free to throw you in jail at their whim. You can't go to the High Court judge and ask for corpus delicti or to produce the body or the evidence. The law is not an ass, and those who believe that they can do as they please and get away with it will have to answer to the law, because without such accountability, there is no protection. So some of them want to do what? Have some fancy lawyers and manipulate what the law states. They want a kind of a barbarism where bullyism, tricks and dishonesty and trying to terrorize the court. Imagine they're trying to terrorize the Caribbean Court of Justice, bringing up shenanigans and evil to make it appear as if the judges are sold out or will be sold out, and they've been attacking their credibility as they've been doing to some prime ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, these have to be some very, very bad people. Very, very bad and nasty people who have this power that they're controlling this nation, and they want to make all of us their slaves and to destroy all of our lives and to get us to migrate out of Guyana so they can have everything that they want. Back to the article by Peeping Tom. Guyana must remain a country planted thick with laws. I would like to see the Peeping Tom article appear. You don't get to see the man's face like Freddie Kissoon and others, but I would like my operator to show me Peeping Tom. And maybe the front page of the Kaicho news of this date. I like the way it's written here. Guyana must remain a country planted thick with laws. No one man must assume that he is above the law, or for that matter, the Constitution. If that materializes, all of us are in mortal danger. Danger of death. If one man, like a warlord that we have, with several mini warlords around him, like the Shaitan, or the Satan, and the Shaitaids, the aiders of Satan, the warlord master, and the other warlords junior around him, spread out throughout the country, holding every facet of industry and business and government installation in the regions and in the city and in central government. It's like Satan and his helpers. In Islam, it's referred to as Satan, Shaitan, and the Shaitaids. If this happens, ladies and gentlemen, to our Constitution, and one man believes he's bigger than the Constitution, as it seems to be the case, if that materializes, Peeping Tom says, all of us are in mortal danger. The decision today is not about who wins the elections, friends and families, ladies and gentlemen. It is rather about ensuring the protection of the rule of law through the rightful interpretation of the Constitution. As I'm recording this today, it's only about 30 minutes more before the CCJ convenes. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, let us pray for Guyana. Let us pray for our country. Let us hope the cabal does not take power again, even though they have a few good people, as I said. Some people I know in the APNO, particularly the APNO, maybe one in the EMC, and one former of the EMC, as Dominic Gaskin and Mrs. Hughes. I personally have respect for them. And you don't see them talking nonsense. And Dominic Gaskin, quiet and expose the madness of conspiracies to destroy and usurp Guyana, to make it a bedrock of their usefulness, as their utility, as their personal Miss Mary, or what we say, a posy. Guyana must become their posy. They can use what they want and dispose of what they want. And terrorize us, terrorize the diplomats in Guyana, terrorize the international community, terrorize the United Nations, terrorize the Organization of American States, terrorize CARICOM, terrorize the leaders of Latin America, an association, terrorize positive, decent, and elegant people of Guyana and try to destroy their lifestyle. Let me read the ending and the conclusion again of Peeping Tom. The decision today is not about who wins the elections. It is rather about ensuring the protection of the rule of law through the rightful interpretation of the Constitution. Friends and families, me, dear brother, Haji, Dr. Roshikan, say thank you for tuning in and share alike, and to check Facebook for the other numbers of presentation of the RKS Guyana Free Media, on YouTube, RKS Guyana Free Media, and on Facebook, RKS Guyana Free Media. Friends and families, your brother, me, Haji Roshikan, saying thank you and farewell, friends.